Hey, 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 fishing friends. Welcome back to another episode of Wind Against Tide. Joey Fernand in the studio with Dave Standing, the human giant himself. It is just ticked over 8 p.m. on across the Australian eastern seaboard here in Melbourne, and it is absolutely blowing a dog off a chain tonight, Dave.
It's
blowing hard.
Blowing its actual tit off, Joey.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good, mate. So, when the weather's like this, what else can you do but sit at home, chuck on YouTube, and tune into Wind Against Tide as we delve into the world of fishing, Joey?
Listen to us talk fishing.
Now, we've got a special guest waiting on the line. Joe, we have Jason Taylor. He's been on our show a few times. He's a fan favorite. We get a lot of requests for Jason. He is the king of kings, I'm going to call him, because he told me to call. Because he did tell me, he slipped me $5 before the show and said, if you call me King of Kings, Dave, that would be great. But no, Jason, how you doing, mate? Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Joe. Yeah, good to be back. It's been a while.
It has been a while. We've got quite a lot to check in with you about. I mean, it is your prime time of the year. The only reason we've really been able to get you is because it is extremely windy, as we've mentioned. So you can't actually physically be on the water. But we're going
the candle in Jason's kingfish spirit has not been blown out.
No. Although it has been a slow season for me, I've got to say. With this weather, it's just gone. It's been so unpredictable.
So you're finding the season slow due to the fish or just the weather restricting you think?
I think it's a bit of both, actually. Like that's the currents coming down from the east, from the north, normally rich and blue, but they're green, if not, almost cuckoo sort of brown. So, that blue water or that, even if it's clean green water, is good, but it's been terrible. So it's really been hit and miss this season. They definitely are everywhere from Port Welshpool to Portland and local as well. But just very inconsistent, and it's hard to get out with this weather as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm gonna preface this chat with saying Jason's probably going to do his best to avoid most of the questions I'm going to ask him tonight because he is head of the Kingfish Mafia.
He's the godfather.
So that's a select group of anglers in Victoria that are very protective of their kingfishery. They do not want the hordes finding their secret spots, but that's all right. I will get it out of Jason for everyone tonight.
I think kingfish are similar to jewfish. Like, they're such a quality fish, and you've got to really work hard to find those spots. And it's common knowledge. Well, not common knowledge, but to be a kingfish fisherman, you've got to be quite secretive.
That's right.
So do your best, Dave. Do your best.
I will.
Something that's pretty interesting. Dave brought up on last podcast, Jace, that a lot of the kingfish were actually, something like 8 fish have been recaptured. So that seems to be quite high in a short amount of time. What's your sort of thoughts on that?
I think it's more than 8, isn't it?
The ones that I've personally had, I'm up to, I think it's 11 or 12 kingfish I've had recaptured. So I've tagged a few tuna, but that's what I do. And it's been over, I think I've been tagging kings for about 8 years now.
Yep.
But out of all the game fish that are tagged in Australia, kingfish has the highest recapture rate. And depending on location, it varies between 8 and 9%. So out of every 10 kingfish you release, one of those is going to get recaptured. And,
that's
all those ones that are caught.
That's crazy.
It is, yeah. Yep.
So you're
I'm pretty excited to get...
Yeah, sorry, mate.
I'm pretty excited to get a tag kingfish, recapture, but it's not necessarily a good thing. It means the biomass is down a bit probably compared to what it used to be.
Okay, so I think we're might sort of go back a step and introduce you a little bit more for any. We're going to pretend that people. Oh, there's a photo of Jason's. We'll go back to that one. We're going to introduce you for people that may not know much about you, Jason. So, when did you first start chasing yellowtail kingfish? So, when was your first kingfish capture, and what geographical region was it within 5,000 kilometers, if you could?
That's all right. I think it was probably 12 years ago, so those kingfish are probably long gone anyway. But I think when I was a young fella fishing for snapper in Port Phillip Bay, I used to go fishing with a guy called Peter Robinson, and he used to take me out snapper fishing. And if we got smoked or reefed, or or the gars disappeared, or it was that had to be a kingfish. That unstoppable fish you hooked was probably a kingfish, and I think that just stuck in my mind. And I didn't catch a kingfish for a long, long time. They were caught on my boat, on my rod, and everything. And then finally, I caught my first one down at Port Welshpool 12 years ago.
Yep. How big?
It's probably about 80 centimeters, so about 6 kilos. Yep.
Not a bad start. So, how many trips did it take you before you cracked your first one?
A lot. And then, so Welshpool fishes quite well for kingfish, but back then there was not a lot of kingfish. So I don't know if it's the currents or global warming with a lot more kingfish coming into Victoria, but definitely we catch a lot more in Victoria.
Yeah, like I was even mentioning it last week. Like we used to go to Welshpool back in the day when there was just whispers of kings, and there was very, very few there compared to what there is now. So now you can head down there and they're on the surface. It's a bit strange to go out there and you see 30, 40 boats in an area drifting and jigging. Like you never would have seen that in the past. So it's become almost like a Montague Island type fishery almost.
It has. Like when we got our first couple of kings, I remember a seal actually took one, and we just went up to the seal with the boat, and he shit himself and took off. Yeah. Whereas you got no chance of stopping a seal now. If he takes your fish, he's just gonna, he's done it 100 times before now. But I used to fish all those islands, and I had a caravan down at Port Welshpool, and I put a lot of time. So the fishery has definitely changed.
Yeah.
Jason, I've got a question for you. Just if we can fast forward to this season, what's been your preferred method of catching kingfish? Would it be on live baits or jigs or even surface lures?
You've got to go live baits, whether it's fish or squid. I mean, the best way is, casting a popper or a stick bait. It's so rewarding. But yeah, live baits or squid strips, is probably your go-to method, because they're not an easy fish to catch. It can be pretty frustrating. If you're tuna fishing, you launch the boat, you go out, put the lures in, and you're fishing. Whereas if you're fishing for kingfish, you got to catch your squid or your live baits, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. You've got to spend a couple of hours, and you want to be catching kingfish. So yeah, as Dave and I found out, we went out the other week and we really struggled to catch any bait.
Yeah,
you got to have a plan B.
You kept
right?
taking me to all the crap spots, so that I.
It's the other way around. It's your boat.
Yeah, but I was partaking in a guide.
Well, what was your plan B when you couldn't get live baits? Because we hear it all the time. Oh, I can't get liveys.
I don't think there is a plan B, is there, Jason?
It was a day of boating, not fishing.
Yeah. So if you can, but if you can get one live bait, you're in the game, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. One live bait could be one kingfish, So
we have done that before. I do remember back probably about 10 years ago, we went to the prom and we were jigging for bait, and we were lucky enough to catch an arrow squid on a sabiki, and that arrow squid got a hook through the back of it, and we took it out the back of one of those big boulderous white rocks that came out of the ocean, and it got absolutely slammed on a talika. That was a good fish.
Yeah, absolutely. Arrow's a bloody good bait, in my opinion.
Yeah, arrows are if you can get them, they're dynamite. I don't know. Kingfish seem to hit them pretty hard. I don't know if it's because they're so aggressive, but arrow definitely before a calamari, and they also they're a lot stronger, as in as a live bait, and they're probably tapered better to slow troll as well.
Yeah, calamari is just kind of like a soft little puppy, but an arrow squid is just like a breathing fire Rottweiler.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, very aggressive. Yes.
As a top water fisherman at heart, Jason, I know you have caught a number of kings in Victoria on top water, but
Yes.
it seems the further up the coast you go, the more susceptible they are to stick baits. Or do you think that's a fish numbers thing or a fish behaviour thing?
Good question.
It depends on the location where you go. Locally here in Melbourne, whether it's Western Port or Port Phillip and offshore, you don't seem to get too many on top water unless they're rats. Whereas Welsh Pool or Portland, you might get them top water, probably because it's shallower. Yeah, that's what I find. But I always have a casting rod ready in case they come to the surface.
Yeah. What's your favourite top water lure? Or favourite three, maybe?
Favorite three.
Oh, it's a hard one.
Yeah, it is. So probably I'd go a popper before a stick bait, and I'm just trying to think. I used to really like the Yuzuri Bull because it was quite heavy to cast. Shimano have a new Flash Boost, which is 160 long.
I always found with chucking lures at kings, the popper would get them up, but and would catch fish, but also the stick bait is the one that normally they would finish the deed with. They'd be a little bit more aggressive and actually eat it. So it's always good to get. It's always good to
saying that.
Yeah.
In saying that, I've been slow trolling liveys, had 2 liveys out the back, and I've turned around and there's just like 50 kingfish following my liveys, and they've brought them to the surface, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Why aren't they taking them? And then, so I've cast a stick bait out in an aggressive way, and bang, on, and it was just fired them up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I always find it's good to have a sucker in the boat to cast the popper for you, and then you fling the stick bait in behind the popper once they've raised the fish and steal the glory.
Yeah. And always go a big popper or a stick bait. And I probably would prefer a floating stick bait overall.
Okay, yeah. We've found that as well. I think the floating stick baits maybe have a bit more of a, well, maybe it's that they're breaking the surface and creating that splash and the urgency, the fleeing bait fish style presentation that makes the fish become a little bit more aggressive towards them.
Yeah.
I just want to throw it out there.
160 popcorn is good too.
Just back on what Dave said, Jace, casting surface lures at kingies, do you kind of cast if you haven't seen any activity, hoping to actually raise one up to come from the surface, or are you only sort of casting for kingfish once you've seen some kind of surface activity? Like, what are the chances of one big one just coming out of the depths and blindly hitting your popper?
It happens. It rarely happens. Normally you get a follow, but every now and then they hit like a GT, or you just don't see them and bang, you're on. So they're really hard on lures. You rarely get a good sized fish on a diver or a skirt.
Trolling.
I don't know why that is. Yeah.
I've noticed the same. But generally, when people do a lot of trolling for them, they'll catch the smaller size range of fish.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
Look, when I've casted personally top water for them, there's been big angry packs of them swimming around, or they've been very, very active on. It's been a really, really good bite. So yeah.
Oh, yep, good stuff, Joey.
Yeah.
Now, Jace, you've been since you've gotten very good at kingfishing. That's all you seem to really care about.
Yes, Dave.
You've been tagging a lot of fish, as we briefly mentioned earlier on. So, I think we started to cover it, but you've had quite a number of recaptures. So, can you give us a little bit of info on some of them? What's the tracking or some of the tag recaptures? What have they shown the fish to be doing? How far have they been swimming?
So I think you brought it up recently on the last show. So recently I tagged a kingfish in, I think it was March in Western Port, and then it was recaptured by young Ryan in Western Port. So that was 10 months at Liberty, and it put on 10 centimeters.
Yeah. So would you call that a fast growth rate? It would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that seems pretty fast. Yep.
Yep.
It does. Which is okay. Yeah, it depends on each fish, because a lot of Victorian kings seem to be pretty slim.
Yeah, okay.
Depends where you catch them. Yeah.
Yep. Is that because they're not down here spawning, or you think they are down here? They're post spawn, perhaps.
I know a few fish caught lately have had roe in them.
Really?
I normally let my big ones go, so I don't know. I'm lucky enough to do a lot of fishing, so I try and not keep the big ones. I've always got fish in the fridge, except now I've got my fridge and freezer is absolutely empty of fish.
Sounds like ours.
That's
Dave.
how much my season. That's how much my kingfish season has been up and down. So, some other recaptures. There was another one I tagged locally. It was in April, and 2 months later, it was in Sydney. There was one at.
So where was it? Where was it tagged? Central Bass Strait area.
It was tagged in Western Port again.
Yep.
And it turned up off Sydney. In 2 months later.
That's unbelievable.
Wow.
So that was a really quick trip. Yeah.
Wow. So we think that one must have surely just straight beelined up the coast.
You would think so, yeah. And I think that fish that was caught in Western Port, I don't think he stayed. I don't think he was a resident. I think, when the water got a little bit cooler, he headed up to Sydney or Queensland, and where it's a lot warmer.
Yeah, okay. So you reckon he's done the round journey, the round trip?
I do, yes. Yep.
Very good.
Absolutely.
It's a shame that we don't have any like sat tagging information on that particular fish, because that would show exactly where it's been.
It would, yes. Which I'm sure you're going to ask about. The next couple of things is I've been involved with Project Kingfish in Victoria, and so far this season we've sat tagged 3 fish, and normally they have to be a metre upwards. So 3 of those are out, 2 out in the west and 1 local. And we've put a couple of acoustic tags in some fish as well. So acoustic tags are a little bit different. They have listening stations all throughout Australia. They acoustic tag sharks, spider crabs, turtles, and there's listening stations all throughout Australia. And if they go past them, they go, "Oh, that's kingfish number 265," and you just get a ping off it. Once they service those listening stations every 12 months.
I can understand why they put acoustic tags in spider crabs, because they're absolutely no good to eat.
I don't know. I haven't tried.
Oh, I've tried.
They have,
we thought we caught an Alaskan king crab once when we caught my first spider crab when I was 15 or 16, and no, they're not good to eat. I'll tell you right now.
Somehow that has been a reoccurring topic of our show. You wouldn't think you'd get 3 shows out of Joe eating a spider crab, but there you go. Yes, go on,
They
Jason.
have, with the listening stations, there's a curtain across Port Phillip Heads across the rip.
Yep.
I don't know if it's inside or outside. So any fish that is acoustic tagged or any shark or whatever or crab, if it swims or in or out, it should ping. They also have a curtain along the Victorian and South Australian coast as well, and I'm sure they're elsewhere, but they have them all throughout Australia.
Yeah, okay. That's very interesting.
Mm.
So, say this all these studies that Project Kingfish and the likes are doing show that the numbers are dwindling, which they appear to be because of these recaptures. If that is the case, then what's the solution? Do we stop fishing for kings?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Like, I think you just got to keep them as a sustainable fishery and maybe look at bag limits and size limits. Everyone seems to agree with that, and hopefully, Fisheries Victoria look at it in the future. We don't want something to happen like what's happened in South Australia, where there's closed seasons on snapper and all that. And who would have thought? We just got to manage it like Rex Hunt did to Port Phillip Bay, stopped the scallop dredging, and it brought back all the snapper and they could feed and etc. And that's also what they did with kingfish, because they used to trap kingfish because they're so inquisitive. They had these big floating fish traps and they had mirrors in them, and the kingfish would swim in and they just absolutely devastated the stocks. So, we just got to keep them sustainable. That's all. They're great eating. They're such a prized capture, and
how come they're dumb enough to swim into a mirror box, but they won't eat my live bait when I troll it past
I was
their
about to
face?
say that we're sustainable. We haven't caught one this year, so I don't think they're in much trouble.
No, but we have released one, Joe.
Definitely, there's more kingfish in Victoria, but it doesn't mean there's more fish, overall in the East Coast. That's all.
So do you think it's a range shift? Some of the stock from up there has shifted down our way a little bit with the water temperatures increase, or the warm currents pushing around a little bit more, because we're seeing quite a good fishery in throughout Tasmania as well these days.
Tasmania's. So I follow, there's a Facebook page, Tasmanian Kingfish, and they're catching more kingfish than us this season. So they must be getting our warm water. Like even meter fish, it's rare to sort of see them that size there, but it's done really well.
Yeah, I've seen that. Like the north of Tassie's. Well, I'm not exactly sure, but I follow the same page. I think throughout the north of Tasmania, seeing some really good size one there, and they always get the rat kings down there on the sort of the southeastern region, up around Hobart, Devonport sort of area. So it's good to see they're getting into some bigger fish as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. But just unfortunately, we miss out with our cooler waters and dirty water at the moment. So hopefully things change. Like it's, the first month in sort of kingfish season, like January, February, March are your prime months. I did catch kingfish for 6 months of the year last season. So from December to May. So yeah, they are here for 6 months, it seems now.
Yeah, that's cool. And if you can manage to not get distracted by that time of the year by other species, then it's definitely still an option. But a diehard kingfisherman like yourself is very good at maintaining focus on the big kings.
Well, I only caught one tuna last season.
That was a
true
goodie,
story.
wasn't it?
It was quite large.
It was a good one.
Sorry, correction. So I did catch 3. I forgot about the barrels, but whilst chasing kingfish, I only caught one as a bycatch. So there you go, just on top water.
What's your PB king, Jace?
It's only 1.17 m, but I've caught 6 of them at that size, and I think all my mates have caught one bigger than me. So,
I think I might have.
I think I
probably.
might have too.
New Zealand doesn't count. Joe.
Ah, yes, it does.
Yeah, New Zealand doesn't count.
No, it doesn't, does it?
But no, back on the Project Kingfish, it's funded from Victorian Fisheries Authority, and they also work in collaboration with New South Wales Project Kingfish. So they just want to manage the stocks and see where the fish actually breed and where they travel, because, for example, no one exactly knows where kingfish breed, and it's really rare to see small kingfish. I think they see them way offshore on the shelf.
Yeah, under
Like-
like mahi under
Kelp
flotsam.
petties.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we get a lot of South Australian kingfish, which are the biggest in Australia. They somehow turn up in New South Wales, and New South Wales fish turn up in South Australia, but we don't catch them in Tasmania or Victoria. There's never been a recapture where there's been lots and lots, and so we're certainly getting shortchanged, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So with these sat tags going in, they'll be able to say, okay, they're going down the bottom of Tassie in the currents, or under a tunnel, somewhere. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what data comes out of this.
Yep.
We went fishing. We had a little king trip on the weekend, didn't we, Joey?
We sure did.
And we brushed with a large kingfish, and unfortunately we pulled the hook. So we hooked a very large kingfish in Western Port, I'm going to say, but I'm not going to say the exact area.
On a
because
live salmon.
Jason will kill me. And we fought it to the boat and managed to pull a hook, which was very upsetting. And
I thought we had it. We were probably 2 wines away from actually seeing some colour in it, I reckon.
so
was it a kingfish then?
Yes. I reviewed the camera footage, and just like when we go tuna fishing and you can see like the little tail beating in the water, like we could see this tail beating on the rod tip. I definitely confirmed it was a kingfish after that moment.
So anyway, that
Okay.
that was a very upsetting moment, and it caused me to go back and have a look at all the tackle, which hook pulling is usually quite unlucky. But
So Dave, you did ring me and tell me about this, and then what did I ask you?
I knew straight away you were going to ask me about my hook choice.
Don't you love it when friends get stuck into you about how they could have caught the fish when they went there?
Well, I'm a bit stubborn, you see. I've been, catching kings for, although not at the ferocity that Jason has. I've been sort of doing the whole kingfish thing since probably around about 2010, 2011.
Okay, so you got a few points on your frequent kingfish card.
And we've always used the kingfish hooks, the live bait hooks, Joe. So that's coming into a new season. I've bought some fresh hooks, and I thought about using circle hooks because I've heard that that's quite good. Jason may elaborate on that, but I stuck with the live bait J style hook. And look, I don't know if one fish is a big enough sample size to decide whether or not they're any good, but I do know it was upsetting to lose that fish. So I'm more than happy to hear any suggestions, Jason.
Yeah, I fish circles myself, unless I'm slow trolling squid strips. But you always get that corner hook up, and if a fish goes into the reef and you have to free spool, there's no pressure on it. Those hooks always seem to stay in; they don't come out. When we've had like a double hook up, and we've actually had one fish next to the boat and just kept the boat in gear, and then we've tagged one fish and then brought the other one in. So I really haven't had many circle hooks pull. So yeah,
just to go back into the technicality of the circle hook versus the live bait hook. So correct me if I'm wrong. If the fish that engulfs the live bait with the circle hook, that's actually going to get caught in its jaw, and perhaps the live bait hook, if he doesn't get it square in the mouth, it could hook him, could foul hook him or hook him somewhere else in the side of the mouth, not necessarily in the mouth. Is that kind of the philosophy behind it?
It could get stuck in its gullet as well. Alf, oh, I'll tell you what in a whole season, might only get 1 or 2 fish that actually swallow the circle hook. So they certainly do their jobs.
The interesting thing about that is, though, you're fishing your circle hooks in gear, and it's kind of a bit counterintuitive because generally, for example, if we're slow trolling a live bait for marlin with a circle hook, we have the reels in free spool, and then you let the marlin take it under no pressure and then slowly increase the drag so the circle hook can then wrap around the jaw and do its job. But with kings, if you're fishing them in gear, it's interesting that you're still getting such a high hookup rate because in my mind's eye, I would have pictured that fishing that circle hook in gear when they grab the bait and they've got pressure against them, it's going to pop out without being able to hook around the hinge of the jaw. But it sounds like that's not happening.
If I've dropped a couple of fish, then I'll listen to drags. I won't fish in a striped drag. So because normally the hookup rate on circles is quite good, and it seems on those funny days that you won't miss a fish. You'll get 10 fish in a row, whereas next week you might drop 3 or 4 fish in a row, and so you might have to change things up. You always sort of thinking outside the square, but also depends where you're fishing. Sometimes I fish in free spool as well, and I think we're using a bit of lead when I was fishing with you, Dave, so it's a bit hard to go into free spool when you got 12 ounces hanging off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've had a few questions. As you know, with our podcast, when we're live streaming, we get quite a few questions coming through, and it's really awesome. We've got quite a good group of people listening to us live currently. So whilst we are going through, I will probably
it's going off in the chat room. In fact,
our good friend. There's a couple of new faces in here we don't see too often. We've got Michelle Burke and we have Suraj. Of King Kong, Donkey Kong fame. So 2 of the all-time greats have joined us tonight. But yeah, a couple of questions that have come through, and I haven't actually stitched you up here, Jace, but Dave Jurisic has asked, how do you rate salmon for live baits? Because obviously we see in New Zealand it's very popular, even very large carwai or salmon, as they're known over there.
Yeah.
But in Victoria, not so good, Jason, you've been telling me.
I just don't have the confidence in them, but you lost that fish on a salmon the other day.
It was a beautiful lollipop, about 26 centimeters. They're little kingfish lollipops. We were lucky. Actually, we saw them busting on the surface, and I said, "Quick, get the popper! Quick, there's kings here around this buoy." And it's like, no, it was the old salmon.
Then we caught them. I was like, "Damn it, they're just salmon." And I'm like, they won't even. I'm like, oh, they won't even be size. And then we did a quick salmon size check, and they actually were. And Bob's your uncle. They do work, Jason, but maybe not the big giant ones that they use overseas.
I just don't think it's the preferred. I've never seen a salmon in the stomach of a kingfish.
You said you released them all.
Same as a king. But it's even like I've caught them on trevally, snook, and pike. I've tried King George whiting. I haven't caught one on. Grass whiting.
Really? You've caught them on there?
Well, a good mate of mine has, yep.
Crazy.
And I think if they're really on the chew, they'll eat anything,
Definitely.
But that's not always the case.
Well, what was going through my head the other day was like, look at all the stupid colors of lures that we cast at them and they'll eat them. So it's like, it's a bait fish. It's the right profile. It's moving. It's probably going to get eaten.
Yeah, yep. Well, you've proven me wrong. And if you can't get your preferred live baits, whatever, go with salmon.
Wow, apparently there was like 20 boats in this area all day that day, and we sauntered on over in the afternoon and hooked up. So maybe it's the secret.
There you go.
Well,
We've
Dave,
just told everyone now.
Dave was pretty much like when we struggled to catch any other of the preferred kingfish live baits, such as the yakka, such as the slimy mackerel. And all we had were these 4 little lollipop salmon sitting in our bait tank. Dave quickly proceeded to go, why are we overcomplicating it? They're just dumb little silver things that are wiggling. And right he was.
Anyway, we've broadened Jason's horizons now. Another question that came through.
Yep.
What do you think's the better sport fish, king or tuna?
Well, I'm biased, definitely, but kingfish, they're more of a prize
Sorry,
catch.
you're just breaking up there. What did you say? No, go on.
If you hook a kingfish, it's not a done deal. Like if there's reef there, you're in trouble. If you're in shallow reef or they'll fight to the end.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't a done deal on the weekend, Dave.
Thank you for reminding me once again. Yeah.
That's okay.
Another one was, are you running? Okay, so what's your mainline strength? 50 or 80 pound? The question has been posed.
I stick pretty safe to say 80. Depends where I'm fishing as well. Like, or I might go down to 60 or I might go up to 100.
Okay.
Because
for your
main
line.
braid.
Yep.
50 or 80.
Yep, either. Yep. Doesn't bother you.
No.
Fair enough.
I've got like a medium outfit and a heavy outfit, and I've gone to overheads this year as well as a change, just to get those bigger fish that were reefing me last year.
Ah, okay. And what's the theory there? You can palm the spool a bit and apply a bit more pressure?
For somehow, just overheads seem to have more purchase over the fish. And when I was working on a charter boat up north over winter, I just noticed that because I was just always had spin gear, but now I've gone to a couple of Telecas, and they work well. And although I've got a burnt thumb from a big fish the other week, so I need to set my drag setting right.
You sure it wasn't a navigational marker?
No.
No. Don't worry. All right.
because I caught the fish, David.
Very good. Squid strips. Do you use squid strips?
Yes.
And do you find that it's more? Do you catch big fish on it, or is it more for smaller sized fish?
Probably smaller fish, but you will get bigger fish on squid strips as well. Yep, and you can put them behind like an X-Wrap, a deep diver, and have a leader, 4 or 5 foot, so it actually gets the squid strip down in the water column, or you can just troll them with a sinker.
Oh, so you're using a diver like a planer.
You could. Yep, that's an option.
That's quite clever.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think I've got one of them in my fishing shed.
See, as much as you came into this conversation hoping to not let any information go, I am getting it out of you slowly but surely.
That's it.
So squid strips, good option, and actually probably a good backup when you can't catch live bait. I suppose if you got some in the freezer.
Definitely.
So with the strips, you're still running a circle hook?
On the trailing, if I have a 2-hook rig, yes, on the trailing hook I do, but normally I run J's.
Okay, very good. All right.
Yeah, those like hooks you talked about earlier. Yep,
fair enough. All right, to round off, although I'm sure we'll revisit again tonight, what is your ultimate kingfish fishing goal, Jason? What's the fish you're chasing, and how are you going to catch it?
Land-based kingfish, a metre, top water.
Oh,
done.
Ooh.
Land-based. And do you think there's any?
Yep.
one person that's watching the show tonight will be very interested to hear about this. I know that. Where would you identify as a good location for land-based? Or are you going to not tell
Well,
me?
the best place in Victoria has been the Lee Breakwater down at Portland.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a meter fish caught there off the breakwater, and there's been rats, and yeah. But yeah, there's if you got dropped off at an island, maybe, or at everyone talks about the spot. Oh, where does Surav fish? On the eastern entrance of Western Port.
He'll drive anywhere.
He's worse than the Kingfish Mafia. I can't give his spot away. He'll Nepalese.
Sorry.
He'll do a Nepalese grappling move on me and snap my arm off.
Yeah, okay. Next question.
Well, my 2 cents would be on a land-based kingfish spot anywhere that there is
Cape Shank.
Yeah, anywhere where there's current and clean water. But with recent seasons, even the clean water bit probably doesn't seem to be as much as a priority as it once did.
Correct. Yep. And you still do catch kingfish in pea soup green water, and but my confidence does sort of lack a bit when that water's like that. And I went fishing during the week, and it was terrible. It was beautiful, hot, calm, and the water temp was down and the water was green. But if you have warm green water, that's a bonus. Or if you have cold blue water, that's a bonus. But the two together isn't so good.
Okay. What's your favourite temp range?
I've caught them in as cold as 16 locally here, like late season.
Yep.
And might have even been high 15s. And 18. I'm pretty confident. Yep. And I don't look at moon phases or anything. Change of tide is always good. That's with all fishing in salt water. And if the forecast is good enough to go fishing, I just go, because so many times, on this moon, on this tide, and blah, 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 and you think, all right, we're going to smash them, and no, it doesn't happen. And then sometimes you go to a spot and you're sort of half-hearted and they're on. So you can't make rules on fish. They always break them.
No, that's very wise words, Jace.
Yep.
Are you going to hang around for the rest of the show? Yeah.
Yeah, if you want, no problems.
Yeah, well, just feel free to hang up on us whenever you want, but we'll probably run through. But yeah, we'll probably run through a couple of our other regular segments, because I know Joe's got some. Joe's desperate to give us a quick petrol price update, because there's a bit going on in the world of petrol.
Yes.
Well, here we go. We got another fantastic petrol update. I've broadened our horizons this evening, Dave. I'm going right around the state. So this is my cheap petrol watch.
Are you really going through all those? That's a lot.
Yeah, that's fine. So we're going to do it really quick. You got 7-Eleven down in Mornington, $1.87.9 a litre. Carrum, right by Patterson River there, $1.73.9 a litre. Then we're going to whip down the peninsula, right down where all that holiday traffic is, where all those beautiful Porsches and BMWs are holidaying, living their best life. BP Safety Beach is $1.79.9 per litre. This is unleaded, 91 cents here we're talking. And we're going to whip right around the bay towards Altona North. You're heading down the Tuna Coast and you need to top up the boat. United Petrol in Altona North, $1.82.9 per litre. Then further down the road at Shell and Laverton, $1.93.9 a litre, getting a little bit exy up there. Then further down the road, BP Corio, $1.85.9 a litre. Then if you go all the way down into Portland, you want to fill up your boat down there, Shell at Portland is representing some value there at $1.72.9 a litre. Yeah. And
that was celebratory guitar, Joey.
Yep. And on your way back, if you need some petrol in the car back to Melbourne, you've come back from Portland, you might want to stop into BP and Colac.
Colac.
Lake Colac. You might want to fill up your car there. It is $1.83.9 a litre. Then we're just going to whip straight over to the east. If you're heading down towards the eastern seaboard from the Melbourne suburbs, Ampol in Bunyip, $1.71.9 a litre. That's looking pretty tasty, Dave. $1.71.9 a litre. Then United Terralgan, $1.79.9 a litre. That's kind of medium. But look, the King Kong, Donkey Kong, cheapest petrol right now is in the southeastern suburbs at Limbrook, at United, $1.67.5 per litre.
King Kong, Donkey Kong, mate. Look.
There you go. There's my petrol update. As Dave said,
Joe, can you just say, what about diesel?
well, you just
Do you
do a
ever,
bit of
do you
plus,
ever-
bit of plus and minus there from the $1.91 per litre.
sometimes it's cheaper than petrol. Sometimes it's more expensive. So I think a lot of fishermen would have a diesel car to tow their boats as well. So food for thought, mate. Sorry to throw that one in.
No, that's all right.
Absolutely, Jace. Joe, however, does drive a little whip around car and has a petrol boat, so he's not really aware of the diesel pricing.
Hang on, what car does Joe drive? This will be good.
It's a Volkswagen Tiguan. It's a real estate person's car.
Okay. Yep, that's good. Although I can't really talk. Anyway.
No, what are you driving, Jason?
Kia Sportage.
Ah, very good.
But it is turbo diesel, all-wheel drive. So, yeah, it does the job nicely.
Good to
My
hear.
dream car is a Land Cruiser, but I can't afford it.
Hey, just a quick viewer update. Is everybody getting us there in the chat room?
Yeah, that is.
Make some noise if you can see us there in the chat room still.
Yes, I just had a bit of a technical malfunction where I managed to exit the live feed. No, we're still talking about
Yeah.
Jason's Kia, so it must be working.
Yeah, that's good. As you said last week, it's the update nobody asked for, but boy, did they get it.
Yes. So help me God, they will not ever have to get it again, Joe.
Can we go into the hookup, Dave?
Yep, let's check out some fishing reports.
All right.
Hey!
Welcome to the hookup, where we go around Australia and indeed the world for the freshest fishing reports. All right, Joey, it's that time of year that everyone's looking forward to with the mail, and we touched on it briefly last week. I did see young gun Lockie O'Reilly's up the coast there chasing the stick faces, and I thought I'd reach out and grab a quick report from him. So what I've got here is he's written a little report. So Current has just picked up, however, a trip we made today from Eden to Bateman's Bay. So that's a good area of water covered. Saw them raise, so they raised 2 and connected to 1. However, unfortunately, dropping it after the first dump of line. Minimal bait, currently at a briefing for a competition. So they're going to see what happens the next couple of days. Good bite north of Jervis Bay, or Jarvis Bay, however you want to say it. Saw a mate get 4 today, which will hopefully push down for the competition, which I think is out of Bermagui. So he signed off with Team O'Reilly on fire. Well, it sounds like not so much on fire.
So, Dave, is the marlin season running a bit behind as well? Or is it on track?
I wouldn't say behind. I'm
just thinking of that current.
Yeah, I think there's been some exceptional. The thing with marlin season is there's always an area every year where the current eddies, and which will see the bulk of the good bite. I mean, we've had some exceptional seasons that have seen fishing right along the coastline, but for the last couple of years, it seems like you've got to be Johnny on the spot. And I know that we've already had some really good fishing in Queensland and northern New South Wales, so it's just gonna. I don't think the season's running behind. I just think we haven't had the right conditions yet on the south coast or into Victoria, which hopefully we do get that, and it'll kick into gear, and we'll have a good season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Same.
I don't know that we'll be able to get up there though. Joe's determined.
We'll make it happen. We're gonna get one this year.
Yeah. I'm keen. Let's go.
All right, sounds good.
Good.
So we've touched on kings quite a lot. Have you got a general roundup on the kingfishing, Jason? As in, is it worth going currently?
No comment.
No comment.
No.
You don't have to give locations.
No. Well, this blow is just not going to make the water. It's not going to do us any favors, that's for sure. And I know it's looking okay on the weekend, and I'm not sure where to go. If anything, probably Welshpool.
Okay, there you
Yep.
go. If you're going fishing this weekend, hit Welshpool. Find Jason.
Yeah, at least there's tuna there as well.
Yes, there's been good, and that leads me beautiful into my little tuna report here.
Yes,
which is one
the
of my.
summer's tuna are basking and rippling across the waters
There is
of Melbourne.
red hot reports of school bluefin tuna from Portland through to Port Albert. We did see remarkably, probably the major concentration of fish was off that Port Welshpool region, but with the odd patch of reasonable weather in the last week, a lot of boats have been out off Western Port and Port Phillip and absolutely slammed the tunas. So they are spread far and wide.
On small skirts too, I've heard some reports, even as much as 4-inch skirts.
It's the standard small skirts behind spreader bars, Helco divers, and top water poppers and stick baits. So that fishery is probably going to, we've got a couple of months of fun there if the weather's going to allow on the tuna.
I love it. Shorts and singlets and casting at tuna. It's just champagne fishing. Chef's hat. Chef's kiss.
So you've caught 3 tuna last season, Jason. Will you better that this year?
I hope so. Yeah, I did catch 2 barrels, and I caught 1 tuna, and my friend on board caught 5. So he trounced me on the tuna that day.
See, just mentioning that to Dave is just like you've wounded him and you've just sprinkled some salt and then just put some lemon and tequila and rubbed it into the wound.
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, the second barrel you caught, Jace, you actually you enacted the plan that I had raised. I suggested
we did talk about it, didn't we?
I suggested we use your small mobile boat to beach launch at a remote location. Yes. And you chickened out on me, or no, you had some sort of boat maintenance going on. And then you went midweek when I was at work and did exactly that in your little Formula 15-foot Formula center console. Launched it off a beach. Launched off a beach with your good friend Aaron, and came back in on last light with a very nice tuna, didn't you?
Well, I actually was getting some new tires like 8 o'clock in the morning, and Aaron, he's actually my housemate. He was picking me up whilst my car was getting done, and he said, "Tuna on, let's go." And I went, thought about it for 5 minutes, and asked the guy how long it's going to be on the tires, and then he said, "All right, done." And we left. We were launching like I think 1-2 o'clock, and we're on the water and launched at Walkerville, and we fished till sunset, and we saw a fish breach the surface. So we fished till last light, and we got the hook up, and we fought the fish into the dark, and came up onto the beach launching, which wasn't ideal, at like 10:30 at night. So I was thinking that's my ultimate dream, to catch a barrel in that little boat. But unfortunately, good mate of mine, Brody Connolly, caught a barrel in solo as well in his sea wasp, probably 2 weeks beforehand. So
yeah, we covered that on the show. We're actually going to get Brody on, and then we had phone difficulties, but that was an awesome effort as well.
Absolutely.
Another fishery in Victoria that's actually, it's quite unbelievable. If you think, you look 10, 15 years ago to see what's going on off our shores, in our local waters, it just seems to keep getting better and better. And hopefully we just need those kingfish numbers to keep improving, and then all will be good in the world.
Oh, we just got to look after them, that's all. Yeah. And you always hear the old timers saying, oh, we used to catch 30-kilo kings in the rip, 30 years ago. Those fish aren't there anymore. And hopefully we're not going to say, oh, we used to catch meter kings in the rip, That's how it could be. So we just got to look after them. And kingfish are great eating, they're such a prized catch. And if you eat them raw or cooked, and just look after them, that's all.
Yep, good call.
got a-
Other report. Sorry, Joe.
No, that's right. They got a really nice smell about them, kingfish. I can't put it like they just smell like kingfish, but very distinct smell. I
A bit
reckon.
fishy.
No,
A bit fishy.
I don't know. Like, it doesn't smell like a tuna. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's got its own. I think like Mulloway as well. They've got their own different sort of smell. Like, it is a fishy smell, but yeah.
Suraj wants to know what's the kingfish record in Victoria. Do you know, Jason? I'm going to Google it. I'm Googling.
I know that the biggest one speared, I think, was 24 kilos down off the prom, probably about 12 years ago, by Drew Fenny.
They got massive ones in Port Phillip back in the day, though, didn't they? Lots of them over 20.
Speared.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one speared, I know. But yeah, they used to not long line, lead line in the rip.
Well, I remember seeing black and white photos off like Seaford Beach of like these giant yellowtail kingfish in the back of hatchback, like little cars and stuff.
Yes, know that photo. Yep.
Yeah. Just looking up, see if I can find on the VFA website. Maybe this will tell me, because there's got to be a record listed. Nope. It tells me a bag limit.
Well,
anyway, I will keep looking for that, Joe, as we carry on.
There's got to be an IGFA record. Would you know that one offhand, Jace?
No, well, yeah, that would be all.
I did see recently there was one in there was a kingfish in New Zealand. It was like close to 50 kilos, I think. It was over 10 years ago. Maybe 46 kilos or, yeah.
Anyway,
So
very big Suraj. To answer Suraj's question,
Very big. He's got us stumped. We'll come back to him.
Yeah, we will keep looking at that. So, other fishing reports from around the joint. I've seen Matthew Hunt and a couple of the other guys down at Portland been getting stuck into the school sharks and gummy sharks, along with the odd Mako making an appearance, Joey. Also, locally offshore, we've got a good number of gummy and school sharks as well. Good friend of the show, Mitch Chapman's been catching some lovely dusky flathead over there in the in East Gippsland. So's John Cahill up there at Malakuta. So good timing in for those shallow water big flathead, Joey.
Yep.
And we're seeing all the cod gurus have been catching some nice cod from Eildon, Mulwala, etc. As is always the case this time of year.
Absolutely. I had a report this week from a good mate of mine, Shane McKay, who was fishing up with his family at How Long, and he reckons he had...
How long?
Yeah, How Long?
A meter.
Well, How Long? I don't know exactly whereabouts it is, but he reports to me he caught 5 cod up to 85 centimetres, always catches them on cheese.
Oh,
wow.
That's some sophisticated angling right
Unbelievable guitar player. This guy can play guitar like Van Halen. He actually used to, when he was learning guitar, he grew up in Ballarat. He learned Van Halen Eruption by putting the pin on the vinyl, and he'd just slow it right down, and he learnt it. Shane McKay, good cod fisherman and incredible guitar player. There you go.
Beautiful report, Joey. Now, for the catch of the week this week, I'm going with a man I've just mentioned there, who I don't think actually wound this in, but I don't have all the information on at the moment, so I'm giving him all the kudos. A beautiful silver mulloway taken out of Malakuta in the last few days. So, Mr. John Cahill, King Kong Donkey Kong catch of the week right there, Joey.
King Kong Donkey Kong match. Look.
In a world of kingfish, tuna, whiting, etc., I thought a mulloway was a little bit different. And actually, we saw a
You really
a
gone out of the
mulloway.
box there.
I did, didn't I? But actually, that does remind me. We saw some significant mulloway tagging recapture today. Did you see that one, Chase?
Yeah, it was all over socials.
So it was tagged by, is it Brad
Spiden.
Spiden? Yeah, out of Paddo River.
Paddo.
It was high 90 centimeters, and it was recaptured at the mouth of the Murray River after several years at Liberty, and had grown quite a bit from memory, which that's a long distance for it to travel.
It is. I didn't know they went that far.
No.
I thought maybe like in Port Phillip Bay from Paddo to the Yarra, that's it. Or,
yeah, well,
not even the Barwon.
Yeah, I know they've definitely been observed going between the Patterson River and the Yarra River, but that's quite incredible that they've gone out the entrance there and right the way around to South Australia. So tagging certainly does provide us with some really interesting information.
We might have to start tagging jewfish, mulloway.
We don't catch enough to tag.
I've never caught one.
I sort of retired after that really big one.
Yeah, that's fair enough too.
To be honest, I thought, well, put the cue in the rack there. That one's never getting beaten. So
yes,
they're probably more frustrating than even Kings, Jace. So
yeah, I know.
Hard work. So that's my catch of the week, and some interesting info there about the mulloway. Our other segment we want to quickly run through, Joey, is our Grinds My Gears.
We now go to Peter Griffin for You Know What Really Grinds My Gears.
Thanks, Tom. You know what really grinds my gears?
Do you want to cover this one, Joe? Because I know you're outraged as well.
Oh, look, there's been some really disturbing news this week down off Mornington Pier. They're down in the night time. It's a beloved pier. A lot of people enjoy fishing off it. Normally a very, very safe place to fish for all ages, but a poor elderly gentleman was fishing off Mornington Pier and unfortunately had some young teens push him into the water in the middle of the night while he was fishing, and they caught it on social media. The kids thought it was funny to film their mate doing that, and it's just absolutely disgusting to think that going fishing at your local pier is not a safe place to be.
Yep, that we couldn't not have mentioned that on the show. It's disgusting behaviour. It's just infuriating to see that.
Disrespectful.
And the fact that you take, why even taking a video of it and laughing about it just shows absolutely no remorse. And hopefully they get the full brunt of the law and then some, because, that poor old fella just having a fish off the pier, enjoying it, the pastime that we all love. And apparently he couldn't swim. So someone was brave enough to jump in and help him out. So good on them. And
some people go for fishing to, have some sanctuary, chill out, get out of the house, something to do, not go out there to be in not a safe place and, assaulted and swimming for your life. Just really, really disgusting.
I believe the culprit's actually from my hometown. That's even worse.
Oh, no.
Grinds my gears, Joe.
But there is some good to come out of this story. That there has been some people in the local fishing fraternity, Sharkmen Charters, and Fishing with Fergie. They teamed together to offer to take. They're trying to identify the victim. I don't know if the victim's been identified, but they've offered to take him out fishing on the boat and shout him a dinner, and also give him a fishing prize pack. I think the post
that's awesome.
It's great. I think the post on Sharkman it's over 1,000 likes and it's been shared, and hopefully they've found that guy because that would be a nice end to a devastating story.
Yeah, well done, Marco and team there, and good friend of the show, Peter Ferguson, I believe, chucked some prizes in,
and the cheeky
like
Squire as well to give a feed if I remember that correct.
Yep. So good on them, and hopefully there's somewhat of a good resolution there. We're going to run through a few questions. There's been really good.
Got a lot of them tonight.
There's been really good input tonight. So
It's amazing what happens when I remember to share the show during the day on all
quite
the
amazing.
channels.
I mean, yeah. Well, it's hard, Joe, isn't it? We're so busy. So
We
damn
are.
busy.
We do this for the love of it. We do have day jobs, but we enjoy our podcasting and fishing friends in this lovely community. we have.
Okay, let's race on through them. So the Roach Life has asked, what weather patterns are most favourable for kingfish, Jason?
Those calm, hot, sunny days are really good.
Agreed.
And
Yeah, +1.
yeah, yep. But you will catch
Afternoons
them
or
any
mornings?
Well, kingfish, you can go anytime. Like, you don't have to get up early like snapper. You know, sunrise and sunset. You can just catch them in the middle of the day, no problem. So,
Yep.
probably to get up early to catch liveys is the only thing you have to get up for.
Yep, fair enough. I like the sound of not getting up early. Joe
Yep.
Ryan has asked when the Marlin trip is, Joe.
Oh, awesome. Well, yeah.
Joe, I don't know if it was an invite.
Oh, okay.
Let us know, Joe. We'll be there. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Single or death trebles for tuna. That comes from Kim. We like singles, don't we? Don't like singles. We like the option to release, don't we? Because
Yeah,
even
I use singles
I like the
on
option.
the kings as well, and the hookup rate is just as good.
I like the option to release my finger or foot if I get spiked.
Oh, you're worried about trebles hooking you.
Yeah.
Well, I think that inherently when you catch tuna, you're going to have the odd one hooked in a bad position under the gills or whatever. So singles reduce that quite a bit. But nonetheless, you still get the odd one that's actually pumping blood. So when we go tuna fishing and we plan on keeping one for a feed, we'll just let them go until we catch one that looks like it's not going to survive too well. So yeah, singles give you probably the best option for release.
When I've fished with singles, I found that, well, actually with trebles, you'll get a better hookup rate, but the hooks will pull more. You'll lose fish on trebles. Whereas if you hook a fish on singles, normally they stick.
Yep. Beautiful. Best boat brand. Oh, what's your favorite boat brand, Jace?
Haynes Hunter?
I was about to ask Dave the same question. What's your favorite boat brand, Dave?
I really do like the range of Haynes Hunter boats. Haynes Hunter.
That's a surprise.
Haynes Hunter. And you know what? If I'm feeling in the mood for a rigid inflatable, I like an handmade Italian vessel. And they're available from Mully's Marine down there in Capel Sound if you want to jump in.
And you guys have you've got a family day with the Ital boats, don't you?
We do, Joe.
Down at my new favorite yacht club,
Sorrento.
Yeah.
So next Thursday, if people want to come and have a hoon on one of them and buy one, that'll be brilliant.
Couple of bottles of champagne and a few Aperol spritzes off the bow.
I love that someone sent that question in. That's beautiful. Actually, Jace, we had a little reel of images running while we were chatting to you earlier, and I thought I'd stitch you up. I put a photo of your beloved Evolution boats with your Land Cruiser halfway up the hill at Bermagui.
Yeah.
But I thought, I'll stitch him up here, but then I didn't realize you wouldn't be able to see it, so it didn't work very good. But what's the story behind that?
That's right.
What's the story behind that one?
Oh dear. That was a long time ago. That's 12 years ago, I'd say. We were heading to Bermagui for the bluefin bite around June, July, and
Oh yeah, I remember that
it
one.
was raining. Yeah, it was raining and on a sweeping bend, and we got the trailer probably set up right, and we got the speed wobbles, and we jackknifed, and luckily there was only a bit of pride damage, and the boat was okay. The Land Cruiser got a few little dings on it, new bumper, and but the trailer was cactus. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was scary.
So it happens. Dangerous pastime. It's old towing boats around.
It does.
Here's another kingfish one. Do you increase drag if kingfish is taking line on a reef? Lost 2 from being reefed and
no.
bent hook.
No, I loosen off the drag,
I would
Yep.
concur.
or even open the bail arm.
Look, I'm just going from our last experience on the weekend, even the one that we caught after a few power runs, it was like kind of slowly swimming towards the boat. Tom, who was on the rod, did a beautiful job angling it, but then all of a sudden it just has a quick little power run, but then they calm down pretty quick.
Well, the harder you pull on them, the harder they're going to pull back. I mean,
They do. I've brought kingfish up with lacerations on their face, like you've hooked them and they're digging their head into the reef trying to get away. So
yeah. I mean, we were just using snapper gear virtually, which is the old 10,000 Saragossa.
Silly.
And, well,
oh, perfect.
yeah, exactly. The 10,000
Sorry, I was
Saragossa.
thinking,
No, not Port
I was
Phillip
thinking of
snapper gear.
Port Phillip Bay. Yeah.
No.
I know he's
Man
struggling
gear. So 30 pound line.
there.
30 pound braid,
Yep.
and a 10 to 15 kilo rod, which is still got plenty of pulling power. But as we say, you don't always want to be upsetting the fish.
No.
Next question. Okay, how do I find small yakkers, slimies, and squid for live baits? We keep finding baits too large. A common issue for all of us, I think.
That's a good question, isn't it?
What's the solution, Jace? Luck of the draw.
You're asking the wrong person because we couldn't even catch a live bait the other day.
What do you mean we? One of us caught 3.
Yeah. It was on a guide. I was teaching you how to catch them.
Yes, thanks for that.
Yeah, I don't really have an answer. It just depends on where you go and which bay you're fishing or where. But if I'm using a small live bait, I'll use a smaller hook. And even if the kingfish are big, I use the hook according to the size of the bait. If you're using a big slimy, I'll put a bigger hook on. So
yeah, okay.
Yep.
A little bit like a lure fishing where you're selecting the hook size to suit the lure.
yes, correct. But live baits, it's just depends where you're going and just try different locations. If you can get live baits, it's a bonus sometimes. So
yeah, so a little bit of
very
luck of the draw, really. Live bait collecting is probably one of the hardest parts of the whole operation, really.
It is, yeah, yep.
A couple of comments there about how frustrating the tuna are to catch at the moment because they're doing that sunning themselves thing. How many kilo of drag do you run when trolling or jigging for kingfish on a P4 to 6 rod? So
I always fish strike drag.
Strike drag, yep. How many kilo
Yeah,
you reckon that would be? 4 or 5?
It's hard to tell, but in my mind, I think as long as it's strong or tight enough for the hook to go into the fish's mouth. That's all I think. As long as you get the hook up, not to stop it from going in the reef or anything.
Here's a good one. If Joey was a fish, what would he be? I would like to say a peacock bass. Colorful, extroverted, thinks quite a bit of himself, thinks he's pretty good looking. Saunters around trying to impress girls.
Likes to eat.
Likes to eat. Is a mouth brooder.
That's very good.
Or a rooster fish, actually.
I reckon maybe a ludric or maybe a cobia with the dark hair,
Hey, my dad's black, but you didn't have to go there, Jace.
Mitch Chapman's saying a stargazer. So basically a useless blob that attaches itself to the seafloor. That's harsh, Mitch.
I think got your people and fish mixed up there, Mitchy.
I like that question.
Who asked that question?
Standing.
We can do that one
Hey,
for
Dave.
me. Yeah, go. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. What would you be if you say tall and skinny, and
A long
I'm
tom.
going to say a pipefish.
I was going to say long tom. What do you have any thoughts there, Jason?
a
Yeah.
marlin, a
Oh.
sailfish, long and skinny.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Take it as a compliment. Yeah.
I will. I'm not easily upset. Don't worry. Last question I've got here. Oh, no, sorry. I've got 2 questions left. How does the retrieval speed differ on a Saragossa 8,000, 10,000, 14,000? Well, that's a very technical question.
If you look at the Shimano catalog, each size reel has different ratios, and you've got high gear, power gear, and I'm not sure what the other one. I think there's 3 options.
Mega
So,
power.
I think it's extra high gear. Yeah. So if you've got I use a 14,000 twin power because it's the same size as an 8,000 except for the spool, but it has a very high gear ratio. So especially in top water, you can still work it slowly, but if you need to wind quickly, you can because you got high gear. And jigging, if you're jigging, you go a high speed reel or medium to high speed if you've got those 3 options, because kingfish like a fast retrieval jigging and a slimmer profile jig. And if you're just live baiting, I don't think it really matters on a gear ratio. I know if you had a barrel on a spin reel, you'd want a low ratio because after a few hours, a high speed would sort of catch up on you. You'd be feeling it. So,
Yeah, but then that would also probably do you a disservice at the start of the fight when the fish is racing around and you're trying to keep tight on it. So it's a tricky one.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
No, well answered, Jace. I couldn't add anything more to that. Last one. Last question. What casting combo setup should I buy for kingfish and tuna? Well, my latest purchase, just to put this out there, was
High speed reel.
Well, I just went a mid-size option with a 5,000 Saragossa and a Shimano Extraction 7'2". It's like a PE 2 to 4 roughly setup, which I think's
perfect for rat kings and tuna.
I think perfect for tuna. Probably more than capable of stopping a big king, to be honest. Probably not what you'd grab purposely, but I think definitely would do the job.
It's just maybe a bit like I said, kings like a larger popper or stick bait, so you might be struggling to cast it. But to cast sluggos and smaller poppers or stick baits for rats, definitely. But yeah, when you had that outfit on the boat the other week, yeah, I went, yep, that's awesome. That's a good setup, definitely.
Yep. And for our heavy tackle, we have big 20,000. This is just probably overkill for kings also. 20,000 Saragossa on a Shimano. What are those rods, Joe?
T-curve?
No. You just bought one recently.
Oh, it was a Anthem.
Anthem. That's it. PE8 Anthem. There you go. That's my 2 setups.
Yep.
Anything to add there, Jason?
If you've got lots of money to spend, you could go an Oshia.
Oh yeah,
casting right there. Just more expensive components and a lighter blank. You can really feel it in the pickup weight. Or you could go a grappler. That's what I use.
That's a very nice rod.
Yeah, so they're sort of mid-range. Murasami are also quite good.
I'm a mid-range kind of fella. That's where I'm at.
But if you wanted one that covers everything, I'd sort of go like a 50-pound outfit. Yeah, so you could use it on small to medium size lures.
Beautiful.
So like an 8,000. Yep.
Awesome. Well, That wraps up the questions. So thank you so much to everyone that's jumped on and sent something in for us to chat about tonight. And I think that'll probably do us this evening.
It's been a great show.
It's been an absolute pleasure to be joined by Jason. We've kept him busy for an hour and 20 minutes now, so we do thank you for your time, Jace. Joey, you got anything to add?
Dave, thanks for having us.
No worries at all, Jason. You
Yeah.
have a lovely rest of your evening, and we'll catch up with you on the water shortly.
No worries. Thanks, Dave. Thanks,
See you,
Joe.
buddy.
And we'll catch up soon. We'll go for a fish.
Thanks,
Sounds good,
Ace.
mate. All right. See you, buddy.
See you, bud.
See you guys.
You got anything to add there, Joey?
No, I really enjoyed sinking my teeth into everything to do with kingfish tonight. It was really good. There's definitely some lots of theories challenged, and yeah, a lot of different things to consider. But I just want to catch one of the bastards now, Dave. If it maybe just stops blowing as much as a rat's kanaka out there, we might even be able to get back out on the water and try our luck again. And hopefully our hearts won't get broken into a million little pieces again.
Yeah, potentially. A couple of late entries for the favourite rods here. Something called an El Maestro has a couple of votes going
Ooh.
there. So whatever that is.
El Maestro.
The El Maestro. Sounds a bit fancy. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and hope you've had a great Thursday evening. Hopefully you all get out on the water over the weekend, or indeed before that if you feel like going out in a hurricane. And good fishing to you all. Good day. Good evening.
We'll see you next week.
Goodbye. Ta-ta.
King Kong, Donkey Kong match. Look at this.